Under the United States Code in Section 106 of Title 17, the owner of an audio recording has exclusive rights to authorize when their work can be performed in a public setting.
If you're out in a bar or a restaurant, or you're out shopping, or you're in a football stadium or something like that, and there's music playing, that is considered a public performance of a songwriter's songs. And under the Copyright Act, essentially they're owed royalties for those songs.
I've had a couple of songs of mine licensed for films and TV shows. So I have a song of mine that was used on an NBC sitcom called Ed. So I got the upfront licensing fee from that. But then I got a surprise a couple months later when...
If you're in a restaurant or a bar or at a theater and you're watching a band play or you're hearing music played by a DJ or any place public, that actually requires what's called a public performance license. And that public performance license has to be obtained from songwriters because that's one of their exclusive rights under the Copyright Act. However, it would be impossible for every single theater, bar, restaurant, store, or mall to license each individual song from each individual songwriter. So what songwriters have done is they've organized themselves essentially into three main performing rights organizations. You can think of these as unions of songwriters. And each one of those organizations then will license those songwriters' songs.
What I did with my former band at Amsterdam Station is that we did a lot of press kits and pushed it out to different radios and got some radio play on local radio stations like 105.7 in Atlanta as well as 99X for locals only. So that was kind of the process that we did at the time. We were making a music video and playing around Southeast. It was in an effort to promote an album of ours called Stories of the Subtext.
And somebody's playing music in public, whether it's a band or it's the radio that's playing or a streaming service or a DJ playing music. That is a public performance of a song, right? And under the Copyright Act, a songwriter gets to control the public performance of their works, which means that in order to do that, you have to get a license from the songwriter and then pay them royalties. Okay, seems simple, right? Except there's millions of public establishments. Just think about the millions of bars there are. And there's millions of songwriters. So if each bar had to license each song, you end up with trillions of contracts, right? So that's obviously impossible. So the way we figured out how to do this is that songwriters organize themselves into essentially three performing rights organizations. So if you're a bar, you could play any song ever played, ever written. You could play any song ever written, pretty much, by getting a license from those three organizations. You get one from ASCAP, you get one from BMI, you get one from CSAC, and that pretty much covers it, right? That's a lot easier than every single bar or restaurant or store having to license individually with every songwriter. Okay, and there's sort of this sampling process that isn't very accurate, where we sort of approximately figure out who's getting played, which songwriter songs are getting, and then it's divided up on a pro rata basis, okay? Now on something like a streaming service like Spotify, you know exactly which songs are performed, right? So that's a little more accurate, but essentially that's how it works. Songwriters make these performing rights organizations, they license the places that play music, and the performing rights organizations have to figure out how to divide that pool of revenue up for songwriters. There's also this little thing called the BMI rate court, and there's also the ASCAP rate court, where really the rates for songwriters pay, royalties for songwriters, are actually set by these two federal judges. That worked pretty well for a long time, but over the last, I don't know, 10, 15 years, songwriters feel like they've been taken advantage of, and that the Justice Department and these federal judges have pushed the rates down too low. So in 2018, a bill was passed called the Music Modernization Act. But one of the things it does is it loosens up some of the rules on how these rate courts regulate songwriters. And I'll go into a lot of detail about how evidence is presented in these courts for what's considered economically fair, an economic fair price for songwriters and performers will likely result in a higher rate for songwriters.
Hi, I'm Andrew Rieger, and I play in a band called Elf Power that I've been playing in since the mid-90s. I'm the main songwriter.
My name is Chris Conley. I'm a singer-songwriter out of Atlanta, Georgia.
Hey, I'm David Lowery. I'm a musician, songwriter,